Hi, everyone. Welcome to our webinar, Maximizing Revenue with Open Bidding. My name is Kim, and I'm an Associate Partner Manager at Google AdMob, and I'll be your event host today. Now, let's meet our speakers and do a quick round of intros. Prashil, would you like to kick things off?
Thanks, Kim. Hi, everyone. My name is Prashil Vissapragada. I'm the Global Product Lead for Open Bidding for Apps. Very excited to be here today. Mary Kate?
Thanks, Prashil. Hi, everyone. My name is Mary Kate Kavanagh, and I'm a product specialist here at Google for AdMob. And I'm really looking forward to sharing more about open bidding. Seong?
Hi, everyone. My name is Seong. I'm Global Product Lead for Apps Monetization Platform. I'm very excited to talk about our all-time favorite subject, open bidding. And back to you.
Great. Thanks for introducing yourselves to our audience. Now, let's take a look at the topics that we'll cover today. During this session, we'll share an overview about open bidding, discuss how open bidding works with mediation, and following that, we'll share a few case studies from our partners who have had success with open bidding. Then, we'll show a product demo on how to set it up and share some onboarding best practices. Lastly, we'll leave about 30 minutes for a live Q&A. If you have any questions during the webinar, please feel free to enter them in the live chat, and we'll try to answer as many as possible. Now, without further ado, I'll pass the floor to Prashil, who will tell us all about open bidding.
Thanks, Kim. We know that earning more revenue is always top of mind for our app partners. That's why I'm very excited to share more about open bidding, the real-time bidding solution that can help you maximize revenue across demand sources. Let's watch a quick short video.
For app developers who monetize with ads, we are excited to announce a new solution called Open Bidding to help you maximize revenue from every ad you show. Let's see how Open Bidding can help you earn even more than waterfall mediation alone. Waterfall mediation prioritizes networks based on historical CPM data, which doesn't allow you to take advantage of real-time pricing. There could be a huge difference between the average revenue from yesterday's impressions and how much a single impression is worth in a given moment. With waterfall mediation, you could be missing out on additional revenue. Open bidding bridges that gap. Here's an example. Let's say Network B has historically paid the highest CPM of $3, so you've placed them at the top of the waterfall. When an ad request comes in, they get the first opportunity to return an ad. But you don't know how much they'll actually pay you for this specific impression until after they've shown the ad. One of the other networks could potentially have paid more. In contrast, with open bidding, every ad network competes in a fair, real-time auction where the winner is always the highest paying network. That means you get the highest available revenue for every impression. Now, imagine how this can add up across thousands or millions of impressions, which could create a massive revenue opportunity for your app business. Try open bidding today. Now available in beta.
As the video shows, open bidding not only drives higher revenue, it also decreases the time you need to spend to manage your monetization solutions. You get access to buyers that don't require you to implement their SDK to add them to open bidding, cutting down the number of SDKs you have to manage. Open bidding also works with tools like our mediation test suite, streamlining your setup and testing so you can catch these issues early and launch ad experiences that work for your user. Open bidding works alongside mediation. So as you move more ad networks into open bidding, you'll spend less time managing waterfalls. We'll deep dive into this in the next section. And you'll also be able to see the performance for all of your networks in one report instead of having to search for data across multiple dashboards. Today, we have over 10 ad buying partners participating in open bidding. These ad sources are available to all AdMob developers, and we're continuing to add more. Now let's take a deep dive and see how open bidding works with mediation. Mediation technology was developed as a solution to manage multiple ad sources while many publishers have adopted mediation over the years. Here are some top pain points with the current mediation solution. You have to integrate and manage multiple SDKs, which can be time consuming. You have to manage the network waterfall manually and make constant updates to optimize performance. You're managing billing and reporting for each of these ad networks separately, creating a lot of operational overhead. And like mentioned earlier, open bidding runs a real-time auction to help you maximize revenue from each impression. And the benefits go behind higher eCPMs. You'll be able to integrate and manage fewer SDKs. You'll only need to do the setup once, and the platform will do the heavy lifting for you to free up time and resources to focus on building great apps. You'll also be able to manage reporting in a single interface and have centralized payments. While open bidding is a huge priority for us because we know it can help grow your revenue to the next level, we also understand that mediation is core to many of your businesses, which is why we have designed open bidding to work in tandem with AdMob mediation. Publishers are able to set up the open bidding auction alongside mediation waterfall. In fact, we encourage you to do so as a best practice. We'll show you how to do it in the product demo section later on. Additionally, we've also improved the user experience for mediation in 2 ways. First, we have built the mediation test suite to help you onboard more easily. Second, we've built mediation A/B testing so you can test and refine your ad monetization setups directly in your AdMob account. For example, you could test if open bidding will actually help you earn more compared to your waterfall mediation. I'm going to go over a couple of case studies now. Some of our early beta testers have seen great results from open bidding. One case point here is Cook Apps, an app publisher based in Korea. They have used open bidding to help grow revenue in their match 3 puzzle game, Candy Blast. After switching to open bidding, they saw a 26% increase in both ad revenue and CPMs compared to their waterfall mediation setup. And best of all, open bidding saves them time, so they can focus on building great apps and expanding their business. Another success story I'd like to share is Halfbrick, creator of titles such as Ninja Fruit and Jetpack Joyride. After seeing positive results from AdMob mediation, they have incorporated open bidding to boost CPMs even further and saw great results. Their CPM has increased by 22% and the overall ads revenue has grown by 17%. Hopefully, we've got you all excited about open bidding. Now I'm going to hand it over to Mary Kate, who will show us how to set it up in your AdMob account.
Great, thanks, Prashil. Hi, everyone. Mary Kate here from the AdMob product specialist team. Now that we've learned how open bidding works to help you earn more revenue, let's take a look at a product demo that we've recorded and see how you can set it up in your account. Again, please feel free to add any of your questions throughout the demo, and we'll try to answer as many as possible during the Q&A session. So let me just play the demo now. Hi, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us on our open bidding webinar. In this open bidding product demo, we will cover the following topics. I'll give a brief walkthrough over developer documents and other resources you will receive upon access to open bidding. I'll also go over how to add an open bidding ad source in the AdMob front end. Then I'll give an overview of the open bidding report. And throughout the demo, I'll also share best practices and address the common pain points that we've heard from some of our partners. Lastly, we'll show you some techniques to help you troubleshoot in case you run into any issues during the setup. Now, let's dive in. To integrate Open Bidding, an AdMob representative will share developer documents. These will include integration documents for Android, iOS, and Unity. Here on my screen, you'll see an example of what the Android developer doc will look like. We also have one for iOS, and we also have one for Unity. Though it should be pretty straightforward, we're here to help with any integration and answer any questions you have about Open Bidding. There will also be Help Center guides that will contain useful information should you need further explanation on the Open Bidding process. These will also include an overview of Open Bidding, how to add an Open Bidding ad source, how to manage your Open Bidding ad sources, and some Open Bidding frequently asked questions. Once you've implemented Open Bidding, you should then be able to enable it and see traffic from various demand sources. But please note, you will only see traffic for Open Bidding once you specifically include the ad units to the Open Bidding front end. I'll go over this further in our next section. For the purpose of this demo, we have created a test account with test traffic and data. Firstly, navigate to the Mediation tab located on the left-hand side of the screen. From here, you should be able to see all your mediation group and ad sources. Within the Mediation Group tab, you can either create a new mediation group by clicking this blue button, or go to an existing group to add Open Bidding. Please note that before adding ad sources to Open Bidding, please accept or consent about product usage and make sure you comply with AdMob's policies. I'll go right ahead and click into one of our test mediation groups. Once opened, you can scroll down and see the ad sources section. You should now notice the Open Bidding box, which sits above the waterfall section. Mediation networks and Open Bidding demand partners both live in mediation groups. The live auction runs in parallel to that mediation waterfall. You can now add an Open Bidding ad source simply by clicking here on Add Ad Source. You should now be able to select the Open Bidding ad source you want to add by clicking the Select button. Please notice the 3 columns. These provide important and essential information as to what is needed to activate each demand source. But please note, you must have a partnership with the Open Bidding ad source before it can accept any ad requests from your AdMob account. In many cases, this is as simple as creating an account on the ad source's homepage. I'm going to select this demand test source. All you have to do from here is follow the prompt each network gives you. This will vary, and it may require placement ID as opposed to a zone ID. Once you add the necessary information, you can go ahead and click Done, and this will then activate your demand. You will now be able to see this in the front end of your mediation group. To access the new Open Bidding report, you will need to navigate to the Report section on your AdMob front end. Being able to understand the Open Bidding report is key to both understanding performance and troubleshooting. I'll go right ahead and click on the Open Bidding report I saved earlier for the purpose of this demo. Here you will now see an example of what the Open Bidding report looks like in action. The report includes Open Bidding specific metrics such as bid requests, bids in auction, and winning bids that are not available through other reports. Now notice how these metrics differ from those in the mediation report. For example, match rate, a much watched metric in mediation, is not used. The first step to understanding the Open Bidding report is realizing that traditional mediation metrics, such as match rate, does not make sense. Rather, we must look at Open Bidding through different lens of metrics. To begin understanding Open Bidding metrics, I suggest thinking of them as a funnel. Each Open Bidding ad request goes through a series of checks that ultimately end up becoming or not becoming a winning bid. This demonstrates how an eligible Open Bidding request goes on to winning an impression. Remember, Open Bidding also needs to beat the waterfall line items. Much like the other AdMob reports available, the same navigation applies to the new Open Bidding report. You can filter various selections at the top. This will include app, ad unit, country, format, and ad source. You can find further information on these within the support guide. Once a filter is selected here, the data in the below charts and table will update. You can add further graphs to your selection by navigating to to the Add Chart button located on the top right of the report. For the purpose of this demo, I'll select Bids in Auction. You can also filter the charts by various dimensions. For example, if you wanted to see earnings broken down by, for example, country, you could add the country dimension. Adding new dimensions further reorganizes and refines the data. If you look at the bottom of the report, you'll be able to see the ad sources data table. This will showcase the various open bidding specific metrics clearly within a table. And this can be super helpful when understanding performance and troubleshooting. Since open bidding works with mediation, the open bidding report does not cover entire account performance. To see a more holistic yield performance, you can still use the mediation report in conjunction with the open bidding report. When using the mediation report with the open bidding report, you should only consider the earnings, ECPM, clicks, click-through rate, and impression metrics. We really recommend not to use match rate or matched requests on open bidding ad sources. They do not make much sense in an open bidding context. Open bidding ad sources tend to have low match rates. This does not reflect on their performance necessarily, but remember, with open bidding, each ad source bids on every request. That is not the case with mediation because we iterate through each line item down the waterfall. So for example, the last line item in a waterfall rarely sees many requests. For further troubleshooting advice, you can access the Authorized Buyers Support Guide online with the focus on understanding that real-time bid breakout data. Now that we have shown you how to set up open bidding, I'd like to share some best practices when onboarding. First of all, we recommend always including ad sources in open bidding and the waterfall, and this is for a couple of reasons. Doing so creates more competition between open bidding and that mediation waterfall, and more competition typically means higher CPMs. In addition, in the case where open bidding will not work, ad sources will automatically fall back to those mediation line items to help publishers capture the revenue opportunity. Secondly, don't set floors on Google Ad Units. Since open bidding runs on real-time auction, setting floors will not make it perform better like how it's used in mediation. The only exception is if you do not want to fill low-value ads, then it might make sense to do it. To check the floor setting for open bidding, you can go to the ad unit page and make sure from there there's either no explicit floor or that Google optimized floor is not enabled. Thirdly, as mentioned before, please ensure that you have a contract before enabling SDK-less exchanges. And lastly, we recommend updating SDKs and adapters frequently. We've continually been making open bidding better, especially over the last few months. We strongly recommend publishers on board with the latest GMA SDK, along with updating any relevant adapters and SDKs for non-SDK-less networks. Latest releases often reduce latency, increase show rate, and boost overall performance. Next, I'd like to highlight and discuss a couple of common troubleshooting techniques. So what to do if a specific ad source does not show up within your AdMob account. Within your Open Bidding Onboarding User Guide, you will be able to see what ad sources are currently available for open bidding. We recommend first to check that your ad source is on this list. These ad sources will be available for you to select when adding the ad source to your mediation group. And if by some reason you cannot see the ad source within your AdMob front end, and we know that this is available for open bidding, you can of course reach out to your AdMob representative or search many of our support guides online. Next up, what to do if a specific ad source is not bidding at all? Well, in this situation, we recommend to first check that the partnership status for that ad source is active. This can be seen in the mediation tab within the ad sources section. By hovering over this question mark, you will be able to further understand what each of these statuses mean and what actions you might need to take. However, if that status is an active partnership, but you notice on your open bidding report that there are very few bids that are in auction after the bid request, it is recommended that you should contact the ad source and follow up with them on this issue. And that concludes the open bidding product demo. Thanks for watching. Great, everyone. Thanks for watching that. Now, I believe we can switch to the Q&A.
Yep, sounds great, Mary Kate. Thank you so much for that session. Thank you so much for that information. We'll definitely go ahead and switch to the Q&A time. So this will be a great time to have and ask any questions that you had about Mary Kate's performance or anything that she said. So we can go ahead and start off. The first question we have is, how could I get access to open bidding in my account? My third-party networks that I mediate with on AdMob have been asking me. Prashil, do you want to go ahead and take this question?
Yep. Great news. All the attendees on this call will have open bidding activated in your account starting this week. Please take a look today to see if you have access, and then reach out to your account managers if you have questions about additional buyers.
Let me also chime into that question. I mean, according to that question, it seems like your third-party network you mediate with AdMob has been asking, meaning I think your ad sources, your buyer, such as like Facebook or AppLovin or LiftUp or Palmetto. I believe it's going to be Facebook and AppLovin because those are the ones we support mediation. So if they're asking, you can also ask them about this. Both of them should know about this, and they will answer the same. So you do have access in this week, if not today.
Perfect. Our next question, how can I see cohort ad revenue in the dashboard?
I can take that. I think that it is quite frankly, I'm not sure what you mean by like cohort ad revenue in the dashboard. If you're talking about the revenue of the open bidding for certain users, you can definitely, as you can see in the reporting overview that we shared you just now, you can slice and dice the revenue reporting by either apps, ad units, but I don't think we have the user cohort that we provide other than the cohort report that we just launched, which you can see the cohort by users. In there, you can see the revenue of like Google revenue, but it's not the open bidding revenue. And feel free to throw in like additional follow-up questions if this doesn't answer your question. We cannot see who are asking, but like the next question, we can definitely follow.
Next question, how does this differ from GAM yield groups?
Yep, I'll take that. And yes, I like answering questions. So yeah, Google Ad Manager Yield Group is actually the same, like the similar product with the AdMob's mediation. So this is not like the parallel with open bidding, but it's the Yield Group is a parallel with the mediation. And we do have open bidding in Google Ad Manager as well. However, the timeline, the launch timeline is a bit slightly different. AdMob is moving a little bit faster when it comes to apps. And whereas in Google Ad Manager, open bidding has been in GA, general availability, to all web publishers at least. But for apps, AdMob is a bit faster, but we will also launch open bidding for apps for Google Ad Manager publishers, which will be working together with the Yield Group of theirs. I hope this answers your question.
Our next question is on unified payments. So someone wants to know, how is unified payment possible?
Yeah, I can answer that. So we're going to be paying for all buyers going through open bidding, with the exception of Facebook Audience Network, who will pay you directly. So all of the payments will come through Google in the form of one check, again, with the exception of Facebook Audience Network.
Is there a way we can use other networks without integrating their SDK?
Yes, I think I can answer that one with other questions. I think But in general, yes, there are networks. For instance, out of 4 ad sources that is available for all of you this week, PubMatic and LiftUp doesn't require any additional SDK. If you have a GMA SDK, Google Mobile Ads SDK, which I'm sure you have it, because otherwise you cannot serve Google Ads at all. With that, you can also just check the box and get a relationship with those buyers, LiftUp and PubMatic, and you can start serving ads without changing your app at all. And there are other ad sources like Facebook or AdMob which require additional SDK, which means if you want to use Facebook or AdMob, you need to check with their latest update SDK, which is separate from the GMA SDK. But still, it's going to be fairly easy. If you're using the latest version of their SDK, meaning AdMob or Facebook SDK with adapters, you should be good to go to just check the box and then contact them and start using Open Bidding.
Our next question is also on ad networks. So what's the optimal number of ad networks that you should have in Open Bidding, and what would happen if you added too many?
Yeah, it's a good question. So at the moment, there's no such thing as too many ad sources at the moment. It doesn't really have a tax on your setup or your like Waterfall does. So the increased latency you would see in Waterfall isn't what you would see in Open Bidding. The goal for you should be to start with your most impactful buyers, and then try to have incremental buyers on top of that as you measure your performance and uplift. And if there's more information I can provide here, I'm happy to follow up if anyone has follow-up questions.
Okay, our next question says, I read somewhere that you should not repeat the same ad networks in your Open Bidding and in your Waterfall. Is this true, and why is that? Thank you.
Yeah, I'll take that one, Kim. Thanks. That's a really good question. I mean, as alluded to before in the demo, always include ad sources in Open Bidding and the Waterfall. This is really, really important to do. And the reason why it's important is it's intended to work in tandem with the mediation waterfall. So we always recommend to use a waterfall with Open Bidding. And as said in the demo, it's to increase greater competition and all that good stuff. So yeah, definitely always include both.
And yeah, I can also chime in a little bit here to give more context. So if you think about the Open Bidding and Waterfall, those are two different logics, but we built that to work side by side together, knowing that the market will not just jump from Waterfall to Open Bidding. We know that there will be some ad sources who will support Open Bidding from the day one. If those 4 guys are the ones that support today and they're confident to support all of you. Whereas there are other, as Prashil mentioned, there are other 10 buyers already we're working with. However, they are not ready or they are not comfortable scaling the service up to larger number of publishers today. But they will be ready within few weeks, if not a few months. So it's gonna evolve. It's gonna mutate into a better one, and we're gonna, at the end of the day, we will cover all of them. But up until then, we want to make sure that we cover you publishers' revenue. And we know that that's important, and we don't want you to lose money while we are making this migration from the Waterfall to Open Bidding. I would even say evolution of that. So this is how we are doing it, by providing Open Bidding and Waterfall together. Whichever buyer is ready for the Open Bidding will be in Open Bidding, but whichever buyer who are not ready for Open Bidding but are still in mediation, which is a lot, those ad sources will still be available in Waterfall, and they will be fairly compared with Open Bidding winners, and then you will get the best possible revenue between both of the pipes. Note that Open Bidding is real-time competition, so there's a better chance that they can have a better yield because they compete each other in real time, and they do have more accurate dollar value. So that's one. And the other part, another angle of this is that open bidding is just getting out the beta right now. It's now like we are going into open beta soon. We are scaling up to all of you and few a lot more publishers. However, we would not call this as a general availability, meaning that there can be some like hiccups, and especially with such platform products like open bidding, where we have many other stakeholders, especially the ad sources, which is another company that we work with and partner with. And every partner, every ad source company are different in terms of their readiness, in terms of their priorities, in terms of their bar standard. So we also even though we are doing our best to make the best experience for you, all of your publishers, we also do not have a clear view on how each of the ad sources will be performing and how it's gonna look in open bidding UI for you. So to mitigate any potential possible like risk that you'd have seen for a certain ad sources, we recommend you to keep the current waterfall that you have, and then just add on the same ad source to open bidding setup. In that way, if the open bidding somehow if the ad source doesn't bid in to that open bidding request, the waterfall for that ad source will kick in. So in that way, like you don't have to do anything, but you're gonna get the best of open bidding. And in case something happens in the back end or our side or the ad source side, you will still be protected with your traditional waterfall, which means you will at least get on par revenue with what you had before. So that's very lengthy way of saying what Mary Kate just mentioned, but I wish we can give more context with this.
Okay. The next question is for Prashil. If open bidding is enabled in my account, can I start to implement, or do I need to contact my account manager?
We would love for you to get started. If you need any additional information or support, feel free to contact your AM. But you should feel free to explore the product yourself. We're open to feedback, so if you do find yourself navigating through the docs and it's hard to integrate, please do surface that feedback. We are hopeful that it isn't. And in any case that you need additional support, we'll be here to help. The one additional thing I do want to mention is that when you're adding ad sources such as Liftoff and Pubmatic, please do check our Help Center articles on how to get a contract in place with them before you add them into your open bidding setup. So definitely please read through that. Make sure you have the appropriate contracts and account setups with the ad sources before you enable them.
Okay. And our next question is on placement IDs. So do I need to have the same placement ID set up in the waterfall as I do in open bidding for the same network? Mary Kate, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, it's important to make sure that you have the same placement ID in place. So that's an important part of the setup. And again, that is in your implementation guided documents that we share with you. So you'll find all that in there, but definitely, yeah.
Our next question is on SDK version. So what's the minimum SDK version that supports open bidding?
I can take that in a way that like we do have a public documentation already. Is that right, Prashil?
That is correct. The DevRel documentations are published, so all of this information is searchable through your Help Center articles and DevRel documentation. So please look at the minimum SDK required for other ad networks too. You can find that information all there.
Okay, our next question is on performance relative to other ad networks. So How does open bidding perform in comparison to Max?
Okay, I can start. Anyone can chime in, like, please. I think while we cannot really comment about, like, I believe not the ad network, but the platform, the Max platform that you're referring to, we cannot comment about their performances. It's not our product, but we can definitely say that open bidding, we've seen open bidding outperforms our waterfall by conducting several, not just one or two, several A/B testing with multiple partners. I think you saw some of the case studies, which is the result of those A/B testing we conducted. And also the other reason that we believe this is would be the market leading, the performance will be market leading, is because open bidding allows Google and Facebook and AdMob and like Liftoff and many more. All of them will be competing in real time. And the RTB, apps RTB, the concept and the value of it is all coming from fair competition in real time. And the more the merrier it is. And that's why we believe open bidding being the only place where all these buyers compete in real time will really give you the benefit in terms of the performance. So that we can definitely foresee, and looking forward to you to have the benefit out of it.
How would you go about optimizing price floors of line items in your waterfall if you have open bidding enabled?
Yeah, I can also take that. And after that, I'll toss it over to Prashil, I guess. I'm answering too much, I guess. But yes, you shouldn't change the way you, like, unless you are not currently using the correct floors, correct floors, you shouldn't change anything in terms of the waterfall side of it. However, note that if you set the waterfall for Google AdMob ad unit, that the floors in the ad unit, the floors will be handed over to the open bidding buyers. And unless you want to limit the buyer's capacity to bid in, we would recommend you not to set the floors for the Google ad units. If you think about third-party ad units, just set the floor for the third-party ad units and the third-party that are participating in waterfall. That's totally fair. And I just want to take this opportunity to highlight that when you're using both open bidding and waterfall, please make sure that in your waterfall for those third-party ad unit, third-party ad line items, make sure you have the right CPM, the realistic CPM over there. Because what's going to happen is that once the open bidding winner is decided, we'll take that and we'll compare with your waterfall setup, assuming that your waterfall setup is accurate. So if you put some arbitrary number like $100 in the waterfall setup, it will always win. So that will actually diminish the open bidding value, and it's gonna negatively impact your performance overall. So I just wanna take this chance to highlight that part.
The other question is on revenue. So will I lose revenue if I activate open bidding, ad networks, and not integrate them correctly? Prashil, do you want to take this one?
Yeah. I'm not sure what not integrating them correctly means, but it could be a variety of things here that could go wrong. So I'm going to limit it to what could go wrong. I think the important thing to note here, as Seyoung mentioned, is having mediation partners in your mediation setup and open bidding. And we advise that you do some testing before you roll out. And if you're not seeing a test bid, or if you don't know how to properly conduct a test, feel free to reach out and we can help you. Unfortunately, I can't comment on will it decrease the revenue, not knowing what the exact issue is. But I can imagine if you remove your mediation setup or don't initiate the SDK properly, that would be an issue. But please reach out to us if you're having any trouble launching or actually getting bids, and we're happy to help.
Our next question is on when open bidding will be going to GA. So when do we plan to release open bidding to everyone? And in general, how can anyone get access to open bidding?
Yeah, so open bidding is still in beta. So you should have access, I think, as we mentioned earlier. We'll be scaling the program out and adding more partners.
Our next question is on LTV and open bidding. So is it possible to get user level data, LTV attributed to each user for AdMob open bidding revenue?
Yes, I can answer this one. We definitely are aware your interest on the user LTV, and like find a way to attribute their revenue to each users. And yeah, we will be looking into how we can work with this. We do have a plan. We actually are actively discussing and try to build solution for you to meet that requirement. And open bidding definitely helps. But that again, open bidding is not a Google only product. We need to work with other partners, buyers, and ad sources, and then to be able to provide any further informations or any further services for you on each ad sources. So please stay tuned. We'll come back to you when we can share, or we do have a product that you can use for sure. And definitely acknowledged and then aligned and agreed on the needs. Thank you for the question. This is a great question.
Our next question is on requirements. So, hi, what are the requirements for open bidding? Do we have to be a big traffic app?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thanks for that. So yeah, open bidding, there is a certain amount of traffic required. But really the main restrictions around open bidding is around that COPA or child-directed ad requests. So any partners who have apps with significant COPA or child-directed traffic wouldn't be the best fit for this feature itself. But of course, the level of traffic isn't such a big factor in this. We encourage anyone who has availability to this feature to definitely test it out. Like Sion referred to earlier, that A/B testing to get the best optimization out of it. Some other restrictions that we have had previously, but we're actually looking to address those now, was around the traffic for supporting Russia traffic and China traffic. So that's currently being addressed at the moment. There are additional restrictions regarding ad serving in China and Russia to protect users. So that does require more extensive infrastructure when it comes to serving that RTB ads in these locations. But we are working on a solution at the moment to enable open bidding to serve these users and these locations. So a restriction now, but hopefully not in the coming few weeks. Thanks.
Okay, following up on that question, can I use open bidding in another mediation platform? Do you want to take this on, Mary Kate?
I can take this one. So I think the question is, can I use open bidding in another mediation platform? So when using open bidding, you will not be permitted to send ad requests through intermediary solutions, including your in-house systems that dynamically or programmatically allocate monetization or monetize ad requests based on actual estimated or other real-time pricing information. We do suggest that you look through the AdMob behavioral policies. So that you can keep continuing to use open bidding. This really ensures that we provide the best access to participating ad sources and keep our promise with them, so they can bid on your inventory with confidence. So let us know if you have any other questions on that. But at the moment, that's our stance.
Okay. Our next question is on other networks. So some networks impose additional conditions on impressions, like Smato requires interstitial to be displayed within some time, like 10 to 15 minutes, within requesting it. If we have a longer time between loading and showing, those impressions are not counted. How do we handle such situations inside open bidding?
Yeah, I can answer that question. I think I'll rather like generalize this, and yes, each ad sources do have a different bars and different guidance, which is also why this project, the open bidding, has been so complicated for us to actually execute and have the product out here. I'm happy to say that all the variations will mostly mitigated by us, Google, our platform. If you think about it, like at the end of the day, you will get open bidding impression and you will get reporting from a Google dashboard. You will get paid by Google, and we count the impression and we pay you. And we as Google, we discuss and align with ad sources of each. And then we do like count the impressions and we match with them, and then ad sources agree to pay to us, and then we give you the pay, like for the payment. So in that way, like you can simply think that those like ad source specific guidance, which may vary, are already tuned as a part of us building this product. We work with each ad sources to make sure that we align on the impression definition and counting on that. Because as you can guess, those are directly connected to how much you want to pay, and how much you got paid. So we aligned on that on our side. So I don't think you need to worry too much about those like discrepancies between different ad sources. And we will continue to like make sure that that's the case, given that there are so many other variations in the market with the many other players. But we'll continue to do the effort so that you don't have to worry too much about it, but we'll do the heavy lifting for that.
Our next question is on performance in open bidding versus the waterfall. So how do you see the performance for those networks which do both open bidding and waterfall? Does open bidding perform better, and does it take a share from the waterfall?
I can try and address this one, but again, feel free, Sion or Prashil, to jump in. Since open bidding works with mediation, the open bidding report does not cover the entire publisher performance, as we're saying. So what we recommend to use it in conjunction with the mediation report to best understand performance and potential optimization. So when using the mediation report with open bidding, you should only really consider the earnings, the ECPM, clicks, click-through rate, and impression metrics. So as we said before, try not to look at match rate or match requests on those open bidding ad sources, because it doesn't make sense in this case. And I'm trying to remember the second half of that question. Kim, if you could just repeat for me, please.
The second half is on whether or not the waterfall takes a share from, or whether or not open bidding takes a share from the waterfall.
I can definitely chime in if you want.
Go for it.
I love doing that. So yes, definitely in terms of the like taking shares, yes. What we are talking here is about an ad source. For instance, if you have one ad source, such as laptop or Facebook or AdMob, if they are in waterfall and they are in open bidding, in that case, if you compare it to when they were just in waterfall only, yes, open bidding will have a share. Most likely open bidding will take precedence. So that means like their revenue, you will see once you turn the open bidding with that ad source, you will see the previous revenue of that ad source within the waterfall migrates to open bidding pipes. And then that means that you will see a lot less, if not zero, revenue from that ad source in the waterfall side. Now, there will not be identical from the waterfall, because that's the whole goal. I mean, we don't want to build the same product again. We didn't. And open bidding allows them to compete with others, including Google and other ad sources, which means there can be a change in the share wallet for each ad sources within the open bidding. But in general, yes, we expect that waterfall revenue will migrate over to open bidding pipes for the same ad sources.
Just to, I guess, add on to that also, Seong, and to clarify that if you believe that open bidding was incorrectly implemented, don't worry, it will not risk your existing waterfall revenue.
Sounds good. Could you elaborate on SDK-less integration for bidders? What are the advantages and disadvantages?
Yeah, absolutely. So just to go over how to set up SDK-less bidders, and then we can talk about impact. Please do visit the Ad Sources Help Center article to find the next step to contact SDK-less bidders like Liftoff and get a contract in place. They do have a form that's a quick fill, and you can sign the contract through that. Once you've done that, go back into your setup page in OB setup and actually add them in. And that's all you need to do for them to start bidding on your inventory. The advantage here is truly that you're going to be receiving incremental unique demand that you might not have been receiving. And we have other SDK-less buyers that can also do the same. Some of these buyers are actually contributing a decent percentage of fill. We're seeing, some partners are seeing around 1 to up to 3% fill with the addition of SDK-less buyers. So we do see a significant advantage. From a disadvantage standpoint, if you feel that the additional step of contracting is a little cumbersome, then unfortunately that could be an additional step. But beyond that, we don't actually see this to be a disadvantage, more of actually an advantage in most areas, and easy to implement.
Our next question is on waterfall. So why do we still recommend a waterfall in open bidding?
I can take that one. Thanks, Kim. That's a great question. So open bidding is our future product, and we are doing our best to get ad sources available in open bidding and all participating ad sources to perform well in open bidding with buying partners. We still recommend that you set up the waterfall while you're using open bidding for the time being. So this will ensure that you maximize on that revenue with all your available ad sources in the market, and avoid performance fluctuations and potential hiccups that may happen for newly joined ad sources.
Thank you so much, Mary Kate, for answering that. And with that, that brings us to the end of our Q&A session and the end of our webinar. That's the last question that we will have time to address for today's live stream. We'd love for you to fill out a short survey on the right-hand side of the screen to help us improve our webinar experiences. As a follow-up, we'll also send an email the next day or so with the link to access the webinar recording on demand. With that, I'd like to thank everyone for attending our webinar today. We hope to see you in the next webinar from Google AdMob. Enjoy the rest of your week.